Good morning, Brian. I heard you just talk about those burn bans that are persisting throughout the area. And so this morning we're here with the Bossier Fire Department to kind of talk about burn bans, what goes into them, how long they last for, what you guys kind of look for when calling those. So today I'm here with
Chris Dyson, Chief of Fire Prevention for Bossier City.
First of all, thank you for waking up for us. When we're looking at burn bans, right, what kind of factors in the environment do you guys look for when calling in or pushing out a burn ban for an area?
So it's parish by parish, and it starts with a model called the drought model, drought monitor, U.S. drought monitor. And factors include wind speeds, relative humidity, soil moisture, past precipitation, future precipitation that's forecasted, stuff like that. And then the fire district chiefs get together, they call for a burn ban, but the burn ban has to be issued by the parish president. And so in coordination with Homeland Security, they make that declaration.
Gotcha. What type of activities are banned during a burn ban? I know some burn bans, you can't light a fire pit, or sometimes it's just open fire. But what activities do you guys usually, say are off limits when you guys are going into burn bans?
So any open burning is obviously off limits. Inside the city limits of Bossier, you're not allowed to burn anyway unless you have a permit. Mm-hmm. And so we shut down all the permits. But people always ask, can I still grill? Yes, you can still grill. Just be safe. Use common sense, be attentive of the grill, don't walk away, mm-hmm. things like that. But yeah, burn pits, we don't like that going on during the burn ban because that's a risk.
Absolutely. So obviously burn bans are really important for the area, especially for people to follow them, right? Mm-hmm. What are some things that you have seen when people don't follow burn bans? How much of a risk is that?
Well, it's a severe risk. The reason we call for a burn ban is because of the risk, the fire danger. Right now, northern Bossier Parish is in at what's called a D2, which is a severe risk, a severe drought. The southern part's D1, which is a moderate drought. And all those conditions that I talked about just equal a probability of fire ignition and then fire spread and fire rate.
So obviously, a lot of what you said, obviously, when it comes to the conditions of what we're looking at, the soil, the moisture and everything, how long do burn bans typically last for? And is it just something where you guys kind of have to play it day by day to see what those conditions are?
So that U.S. drought monitor is recalculated every day. And so they use those conditions that I talked about to calculate that. And so it just depends on when the conditions improve. So there's no timetable on that.
Absolutely. Guys, look, there is so much that go into burn bans and your safety all throughout the Arklatex. Right now, we're sending it back to the studio with more here at the Bossier Fire Department soon. Yeah, good morning, Brian. We're here with the Bossier City Fire Department, of course, talking about those burn bans, talking about, the fire prevention and the safety that you guys at home are all kind of looking for when it comes to the burn bans, what people are looking for. So obviously, I think the biggest question people are kind of asking and calling about is what are the activities that are specifically banned when a burn ban is ordered in the area?
Well, obviously open burning is not allowed, but we do want people to be mindful of their smoking materials. These are perfect conditions with the low humidity, the wind speeds and everything, the drought, for improperly discarded cigarette material to be discarded, improperly discarded, and then start a fire. So we want to be mindful of that. A lot of people ask about grilling. Grilling is allowed. Just use common sense and just make sure you attend to the grill the entire time and don't walk away from it.
Absolutely. What about some accidental things? The little things that happen that could accidentally start a fire. Have you seen any of those come up? And if so, how can people prevent those from happening?
So one thing is when people are towing something, the chains, if they drag the concrete, they're going to cause sparks, and that will cause a fire. So make sure you secure those tow chains. That's just one example of things that people don't think about.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a really good point. I know we talked about, making sure that if you're, driving through tall grass, that's another one that you absolutely kind of want to stay away from.
Do not drive through tall grass. And if you do have to go off-road, do not park in the grass while the vehicle's running.
Yeah, just those little things to make sure you guys are staying safe when it comes to burn bans, all those different types of things. Now, obviously, when we look at burn bans and they go throughout an area, is there specific levels of burn ban? Like, is there a level 1, 2, 3, or is it just, hey, there's a burn ban for this area, this is what it's going to be every time?
So the Louisiana Department of Agriculture and Forestry has certain levels. Right now we're in a severe fire risk level.
Okay.
And that's based off, one thing it's based off is the drought monitor that we talked about earlier, all those factors that go into that. And that's a level 0 through 4, 0 being just dry, and then 4 being extreme risk, extreme drought.
And I'm assuming that there's differences when it comes to like what is even allowed to be burned. Like when we're looking at a severe risk, this is the absolute most, hey, you really need to stay on your toes and not be burning things. Am I correct about that?
That's correct, because it's all about the probability of an ignition, and then once that ignition happens, the rate of spread and the intensity of spread.
Absolutely. What about people that look into are burning, their leaves and different things like that? Do you know if there are extra the things that the city provide that allow them to maybe dispose of those leaves and different things that they usually would set on fire during a burn ban?
They'll just have to bag them and put them out for the trash pickup.
Gotcha. So, making sure you guys are safe, making sure you guys are keeping on top of everything is kind of what we're here looking at this morning. Those burn bans are throughout the area. And so, of course, your safety and making sure we are all kind of knowledgeable about the subject is really, really, really important. Good morning, Brian. Look, we have heard you talk about those burn bans all morning long. So let's learn a little bit more about what goes into those, how people can stay safe, especially during a time when, our parish is under, and really even the Arklatex is under a pretty big burn ban. So kind of starting off, what goes into when you guys look at an area and you guys see the conditions that we have, what makes you guys kind of put out a burn ban?
So the parish fire chiefs get together and they determined, based off a model called the drought monitor, U.S. drought monitor model, and the factors that go into that: low humidity, wind speeds, past precipitation, future precipitation expected, soil moisture, stuff like that. And they determined that they need to call for a burn ban. When they do that, they get with the parish president. And the parish president works in conjunction with Homeland Security, and they make that declaration. So it's parish by parish.
Absolutely. Now, what happens when someone obviously violates those rules, right? Is there a fine? Is it legal? What kind of goes into
inside
that?
the city limits, we do write citations for illegal burning during the burn ban. We don't allow burning anyway during inside the city limits without a permit. But depending on the result of the burning, it could lead to all the way up to negligent arson.
Yeah. And so then that's a pretty serious thing, especially because, you never want to have your trash or the leaves or whatever you have and start a fire, and that leads to something way, way, way bigger. Another big thing that we kind of talked about was making sure, you're not littering, especially when it comes to cigarettes, not flicking your cigarettes out of the window. That could easily cause a fire, especially during when we have these burn bans. So obviously people are wondering, what happens if you do have, when this burn ban is and you are burning things illegally. You have those type of citations and different things, but what are the things that they can do, or they should really not worry as much about, whether it's grilling or it's outside and they have a fire with a lid on it or whatever? What type of things can people look forward and when it comes to that?
So we highly discourage any burning that's not necessary, like the fire pits. We highly discourage that. The grilling, we get a lot of questions about that. It is okay to grill. Just stay with the grill, monitor your cooking at all times, use common sense, pay attention to the wind, stuff like that.
Absolutely. So yeah, making sure that you guys are being responsible, obviously. Everybody knows the burn ban when it comes to the conditions, making sure that you guys are staying on top of it. And if you have a question, you can always call, right? That's one thing that you guys can always make sure you guys are staying on top of. The next 30 minutes, guys, we have, of course, so much more to talk about when it comes to burn bans and all of those different things. So right now, we will see you right after the break. Yeah, good morning, Brian. We're here at the Bossier City Fire Department to talk about those burn bans that you have been talking about all morning long. How to prevent those, what kind of goes into those, how they work, all of those different things. I am here with this morning.
Chris Dyson, Chief of Fire Prevention for Bossier City.
And so we've kind of talked about all morning long, what you guys look at, what goes into, you guys calling a burn ban, different things like that. One thing that I really want to go into is those drought levels that we kind of talked about, the 0 to 4 that you guys kind of get called. When looking at those, how do you guys really, one, manage those? Do you guys go into just your little calculator, or is it something that you guys talk to a weather service provider to get exactly the info that you guys need?
So the National Weather Service is involved with some of those factors, but the U.S. Drought Monitor is the model that is looked at, and like you said, it's a 0 to 4, 0 being abnormally dry to 4 being exceptionally drought. Right now, the southern parts of our parish are in a D1, which is moderate drought, but the northern half of the parish is in a D2, which is a extreme drought.
Exactly. And so when we get into those, what are the things specifically that people should stay away from when a burn ban is called?
Well, obviously any open burning is out of the question. We highly discourage using any burn pits or any unnecessary burning during the burn ban. People always ask about grilling. Grilling is allowed. You just have to use common sense and stay with the grill, monitor the grill the entire time, don't walk away from it.
I think a big thing to kind of talk about and look at too is when looking at the burn bans, right, and following a burn ban. Obviously there is trouble that you guys can get into if you choose not to follow a burn ban, but you're putting a lot of people at risk as well. Your neighbors, but also the first responders that have to come out and come out to if there is a big fire because of that. And so making sure that we're staying responsible and making sure you're following the burn ban is so important. Obviously, we're looking, and if you guys want to keep up to date with all of those, we have the best meteorologists and the architects, and so keeping up with our KTBS weather is super, super important. Is just one thing that we can kind of go into about burn bans real quick. What is one thing that you've noticed that people may not realize about burn bans that they should be more educated about?
Well, things like driving vehicles in tall grass that can start a fire, parking a vehicle in grass while it's running, securing tow chains when you're driving down the road, those cause sparks when they hit the concrete, things like that. And then of course smoking materials, use proper discarding measures. Don't throw them out the window when you're driving down the road, because these are perfect conditions for cigarettes to start a fire.
Absolutely. Guys, making sure that we're staying on top of all of those factors, because the burn ban, hopefully, as we are getting some rain here soon, hopefully we can have some days where we are all set back to normal. Guys, for right now, we're sending it back to the studio with Nate and Shannon. Guys?
Yeah, certainly some important information, as we saw and heard. It happens in a blink of an eye.
Yeah, I always need to commit it to memory.
Yeah, thank you, Taylor. Good stuff.